I wanted to have Kristen come on because I do not, sometimes we do definitely research the essential oils that we put in our skincare, but I'm not the person to ask if you were to say, hey, is this one other, some random that I haven't really used or I'm not super familiar with essential oil safe to use in such and such a way. I got to go to the expert. So I asked Kristen to come on and talk to us about essential oil safety and specifically the 5 like your go-to essential oils for your household. So I just have to share a quick story and then Kristen has a story to share too, because I was asking her like, this incident happened in the past where I had my son-in-law, I wanted to give him some tea tree oil and send him home with it so that my daughter can create something for him to use for an ailment thing that he had. And so I could not find a container to put it in. And so I'm just fumbling around. They're trying to get out the door. And so I thought, I got these little deli cups with lids on it. I'm going to just put a little bit like a teaspoon in there and send them on their way. Not realizing that at the time, you do not put essential oils in plastic. By the time they got home, which is 15 minutes away, it completely disintegrated in the car. So now they had a nice, very scented tea tree car. And so that was like, this is like, you can't mess with it. You have to know what you're doing. And you do need to do a little bit of research when you're working with essential oils. So I thought, I'm not the person to teach this. This would be Kristen. And so she's going to come on and Kristen, tell your story about your son and what you did.
Yeah, so many, many years ago, before I knew what I was doing, I followed the advice of a friend who at the time she was selling essential oils. And she told me my son had a big wart on his elbow and he was like 5 at the time. And she said, well, if you just put oregano essential oil on it, it'll take the wart off. And she gave me a bottle and I was like, okay, I'll do that. Sounds good. And so I put a drop on, I didn't dilute it. And again, didn't know what I was doing, slapped a Band-Aid on it, went outside, do some laundry stuff, came back in. And in the 5 minutes that I had been outside, the Band-Aid on his arm, like the plastic bandage part, had shriveled up against his skin, like it was melting against his skin. And he was crying. He said, it hurts. My arm hurts. And I was horrified. I had no idea how hot, we would say, oregano, especially is for being on the skin. I didn't know about diluting. I knew enough to take the Band-Aid off and rub it down with coconut oil. I knew at least that much. So I rubbed it down really well. We washed it off and he was fine. It didn't cause any lasting rash or anything, but that was such a big wake-up call for me because I just honestly, until that point, I'd never taken essential oils that seriously. And so yeah, definitely a big wake-up call to safety.
So I've used when my son was a lot younger, he was a swimmer, and so we would deal with planter's warts, and that was just so disgusting. And after we had, I was still very much in the allopathic world and gone through everything that they had to offer, from freezing them off to even they even had prescribed him, I'm not even going to say the stuff that they prescribed to put on his feet. It was humiliating. And I actually used clove oil on his warts, neat, which clove is not one you really want to go neat with, but it was the only thing that cleared it up.
That's interesting. The soles of the feet are a little bit different because they are so thick. And then when you're dealing with, I don't know how old he was, but if he's a little bit older, you have a little bit more leeway.
He is probably about 12, 13 at the time.
So that's getting into more adult.
Yeah.
This is totally off topic. The best thing I've ever found for warts is apple cider vinegar straight on a cotton ball and keep it soaked on there. My daughter was going to be referred to a plastic surgeon for warts on her hand when she was little. And my doctor, who's not super intervention, was like, I don't know what else we can do. And I came across apple cider vinegar and I thought, I have tried everything else. I had tried oils. I tried all these different things. And it is the best wart remover. So take that as a little freebie nugget for today. Apple cider vinegar soaked in cotton ball, put it on, keep it on overnight, and it will eventually, even the biggest plantar's warts. It does take a little time on the feet, but it's a little gentler. There's a little bit more of a safety net there. So there's a free little bonus.
That's awesome. That's an awesome bonus because I still deal with a lot of swimmers and their ailments. So
That's that's really good to know. We had
those pool floors are just a petri dish of disgustingness.
All right.
Thank you.
And I didn't say this earlier, but Kristen is with, what is it, Kristen? I just had it right here. Your website.
Oh, A Better Way to Thrive.
A Better Way to Thrive, actually. And then if Carrie, if you could put that in the chat, everyone can know where to find Kristen. And then we also have the page that I send you to that shows you all of the expert talks. You can also go to our store site and see wellness workshops. You can go there. And then tomorrow, hopefully by tomorrow, we'll have the actual video to see the replay. There's also a downloadable sheet that you can use that Kristen gave us to share with you. And it's going to talk about the 5 essential oils that she's going to talk about today. So if you're ready, Kristen, you can go ahead and share your screen, and then we will mute. And if you have questions as we go, those of you watching, feel free to ask the questions, and then Carrie and I will kind of monitor that and possibly interrupt or possibly just wait till the very end, and then we can ask Kristen at the end. So.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So we're going to talk about 5 must-have essential oils. To be on my list, they had to be safe and versatile and also economical, because it's overwhelming when you're first starting with essential oils. If you don't have many, there's so many you can buy, and that can kind of give you a little like decision paralysis. So I like to kind of break it down to those that are safe, that are versatile. They're going to be really useful for most of the things that you experience in your own home. And they're also economical, because you can get some pretty pricey essential oils, and that can be fun to dabble in. But most of us probably just need to have things that are economical and fit a bunch of needs. So before I jump into that, this is a question I get probably more than anything else when I'm talking about essential oils. And that is, what's the best essential oil brand? And I say there are many. And so I don't promote one particular brand over another, but I do like to give people just some qualities or some things that might help you decide, okay, this looks like a good brand, or maybe I'll try this one. And so those are, there we go, 2 popped up. So you get a bonus there, 2 at 1. I like to see third-party organic certification on oils, because pesticides are also highly volatile, which means they evaporate readily. So any kind of pesticide contamination that's on the plant itself, that's going to the still to be made into essential oils, that would be evaporated off with the oils and could end up in your bottle of essential oil, which is no good. We don't want concentrated pesticides going up in the air on our skin. So I like third-party organic certification, because that's somebody outside of the company who's saying that, yes, this meets the standard. Or if the plant material is coming from not an agricultural site, but wildcrafted, then if it's sustainably wild harvested, that's important. Some popular essential oils are made from endangered or at-risk plant species. And so we want to be mindful of how that's being harvested. The second one being batch specific GCMS reports available. That means that for every batch of essential oil that the company is selling, they have reports on the makeup of that oil. And what that does is it prevents any kind of adulteration. One of the oils we're actually going to be talking about has a certain percentage more is sold every year than is actually produced. So what that means is that fake essential oil is being sold under the name of this plant, but it's not the real thing. And so these GCMS reports, that stands for gas chromatography mass spectronomy, which I have a hard time saying, so I usually just say GCMS. Even if you don't know how to read it, just knowing that a company offers those reports kind of tells you what their commitment to quality is. So I like to see that. You want to make sure the bottle label has the common name of the plant. So lemon, for example, you want to make sure it has the botanical name or the Latin binomial. That just verifies that, yes, they're making sure it is this particular species. And the country of origin is also really helpful. You want to make sure that the company promotes safe and appropriate use. So they're not telling you to just, oh yeah, just drop it neat, rub it all over and pour it in your water, stuff like that. Those are big red flags that, that's maybe isn't the best brand that you can choose. So that's our quick little summary of choosing brands. And now we're going to dive into the 5 essential oils. And this probably is not a surprise to anybody, but the top one would be lavender. And the reason is lavender is an extremely safe essential oil that has hundreds of years of traditional use. So people have been using concentrated lavender essential oil since the 1600s, which is a really long time, considering that a lot of essential oils haven't been distilled until like the last century. So very, very safe. If you've heard within recent years anything about, lavender might be estrogenic, don't put it on your teen girls or your boys or anything, I would recommend, and I do have a link to this in a blog post that also goes over these. Robert Tisserand has put together a really, really nice summary of why those statements aren't true. Franklin Institute of, what are they calling themselves now? Franklin Research Institute. They've changed names a couple times. They've done a really nice meta-analysis of the scientific studies about this claim, but summarize it. It's not an issue. Don't worry about it. It's not estrogenic. It's not going to cause breast growth in your teenage boys or preteen boys. It's not going to make PMS worse for anybody. It's fine. It's really okay. So that is not an issue. But lavender has many, many uses. It's one of those that if you're not sure what essential oil to use for something, lavender is probably a good pick. You can use it for stress support, whether that's to help you relax and unwind or to help you focus on things. It actually works both ways. Headache relief, fever relief. Just applying a little bit diluted can help with fever discomfort. Skin healing, so you're talking anything from bruises, bumps, scratches, cuts, bug bites, burns, any of that. Lavender is excellent for calming the inflammation and helping the skin healing processes to speed up. It can promote calm focus, so it's really great for anybody who's feeling kind of stressed or nervous. Sometimes kids that are dealing with ADHD or other kind of hyperactive or focus issues. Lavender can be really helpful to bring that down without making them feel drowsy or sedated. And of course, it's also great for sleep support. So if you want to diffuse it or inhale it shortly before going to bed, it can really help your mind calm down and get ready to rest. So how might you use lavender? Really, in about any single way that you can think of using essential oils, lavender is safe to use that way. So you can diffuse it through an actual diffuser. Or diffusing it can also be as simple as putting a drop on a diffuser necklace or diffuser jewelry, like a bracelet. It can be putting a drop on a cotton ball and leaving it on your desk. So diffusing can be that simple. It doesn't have to be in a machine. You can use it in baths. If you do that, you want to make sure that it's diluted in either oil or an oil and soap blend, but you don't want to just drop it in the bath water because then it does hit your skin undiluted and your skin is much more sensitive in the bath water because it's warm and it's damp and it can absorb things readily. You can use it diluted topically. Various dilutions, it's going to depend on the person you're applying it on, as well as the specific situation, how strong it goes. But lavender is one of the rare ones that you can use neat, meaning undiluted. I say in rare situations because it's not something you want to get in the habit of doing. But it is possible on an adult. Let's say you get a kitchen burn and you just quickly put a drop of undiluted or neat lavender on there. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. You can use lavender in skincare and in cleaning products too. So pretty much anywhere, lavender is going to be great for. Some people, though, hate the smell of lavender. My oldest daughter happens to be one of them. And last night she saw me putting this together and going over my notes, and she described lavender as a fuzzy smell that kind of suffocates you, and there's like sandpaper in it. And I was like, I don't even know how to make sense of that, but it's funny and I'm going to share it. So she has a very, very sharp sense of smell, and lavender is just way too much for her. So substitutions, One is rose. Rose is extremely expensive though. So for most people, it's going to be cost prohibitive, but it has a lot of the same qualities as far as the years of traditional use. So very safe record, same types of supports that it offers, same applications, same, even applying it neat if need be. But the cost of it, you would probably never want to use it neat because those drops are precious. But that's an option if you hate lavender. Rose does work. Sandalwood is another one, kind of a totally different type of aroma, but it has a lot of the same uses, same safety profile, applications. Sandalwood is also pricey and sustainability is an issue. So most of the sandalwood you get now is from Australia rather than East India, which is like the traditional sandalwood. But the Australian one works as well. Again, these are both on the pricier side, rose especially so, but an option if you hate the way lavender smells. I need to grab a drink of water because I am just getting over a cold. So
well, I'll hop in real quick and give you a moment there and say it's so funny that your daughter said that, because Renee was probably chuckling because Rose, I am so offended by Rose. Rose and patchouli. Oh,
I was just talking with friends about how much we love patchouli and how it gets some pretty strong responses on both ends. You either love it or you hate it.
And that's what's so beautiful about essential oils, because if one offends you, you can just find another one that has similar qualities. So I love the fact that you brought in those other oils that you can use if you are offended by lavender, so, or allergic to it. So that's great.
Right. Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome for sure. Yeah, because essential oils are one of those things that it doesn't matter how useful a particular essential oil is. If you hate the way it smells, it's not going to help you. It's only going to make things worse. So don't use it. There's something better out there for you. All right. So our second one that I suggest is lemon. It's economical. You will notice that citrus essential oils tend to be very, very inexpensive. And that's because they are pressed instead of distilled. So they're actually like pressed down until the essential oil comes out of it. If you peel an orange or lemon or anything, I use those, I don't know, Tupperware sells them, other places sell them, where it's a little like tool that you can just scrape across the rind of a citrus fruit and it just helps peel it easier. And when you do that, you'll just see, like, I used to think it was juice and it just comes out and it would stain things orange. I'm like, what is this? It's essential oil. That's how much is actually in the peel. So you can see it even. And that's why citrus oils are so inexpensive. There's so much essential oil in the peel there. So it's very economical. It's versatile and it's enjoyable. Most people really like the smell of lemon. Uses for lemon are varied. There's quite a few. Digestive support is a wonderful one. So whether that means that your stomach hurts after eating food or you're just feeling a little queasy, just smelling some lemon essential oil can really help to calm that down. It's an energizing fragrance. So if you're diffusing it or even just inhaling it straight from the bottle, it just kind of gives you a lift. It makes you feel happier and alive and energized. It's really good at disinfecting things. So we see lemon in a lot of cleaning products, and that's because lemon is great at getting those microbe populations down a little bit. It's a very powerful degreaser. So cleaning in the kitchen, lemon can really help break up any kind of tough grease that you're dealing with after you've been cooking. Again, with cleaning, because of how it degreases things and helps with disinfecting. And then immune support. So lemon is a really pleasant oil to diffuse if you're maybe having friends over and it's cold and flu season, and you just want to help kind of keep the air cleaner. Lemon is kind of a nice option for that. You can diffuse lemon, like I've been mentioning, cleaning sprays, cleaning pastes. I love adding lemon to because it gives everything a really fresh and clean scent. And is, a nice, safe way to help degrease everything, especially if you're mixing it with like Castile soap or something of that nature. But an important safety note on lemon is that it's phototoxic. So what that means is even when it's diluted, if you apply it to your skin and then go out into sunlight shortly after, up to 2 to 3 hours after, your chances of burning and sometimes even blistering if it's in high concentrations is pretty high. So you want to avoid lemon that is cold pressed, which most lemon is. If you're going to apply it topically and then go out in the sun. If you want to apply it topically, you just want to make sure it's been around 3 hours before you go out, or apply it on areas of your skin where it's not going to be exposed to sunlight. So just really important safety note there with lemon. A substitute that works just as well for almost everything is sweet orange. We don't think of it as much for maybe helping quell nausea, but they would both work just fine. Sweet orange is not phototoxic also, so you can use that a little bit more freely in skincare. So it really comes down to just your preference on the scent profile if you want lemon or sweet orange. Okay, the third one is eucalyptus. Now, if you'll notice, I have the botanical names under there, and I have 3 of them listed for eucalyptus. So I've got Eucalyptus globulus, Eucalyptus radiata, and Eucalyptus smithi. Now, S should actually be lowercase, but autocorrect wouldn't let that happen, so it's capitalized. All right, they're both popped up again. I love eucalyptus because it's just an essential for respiratory support along with other uses. So when you're thinking congestion, you're thinking eucalyptus. It is so good at breaking up mucus congestion so that your body can expel it, but there are also lots of other good uses for it. So along with the respiratory support, it's great for disinfecting. So cleaning blends or thieves type essential oil blends, eucalyptus is usually a powerful player there. It's what we would say rubefacient, which means it helps draw circulation to an area. So that makes it nice for muscle and joint aches. If you deal with any kind of arthritis or sore and stiff muscles, some diluted eucalyptus rubbed in there can help loosen things up. Because of how it helps with disinfecting, it's great for immune support and helping your immune system work a little bit better. It is also helpful for headaches for the same reason that it can help soothe your muscle and joint aches, bringing a little extra blood flow to an area. Sometimes that's enough to loosen tense muscles. And so you might find eucalyptus in different headache formulas. And then, of course, any kind of congestion. Eucalyptus is so helpful. That's what you're smelling if you use something like Vicks Vapor Rub, though I think they just use isolated eucalyptol. They're not actually using eucalyptus essential oil, but more natural brands will. So applications, you can diffuse it. You can apply it topically when it's diluted. Cleaning sprays, it's great for, and steam inhalation. So what I mean by that, you might have a pot of water that's steaming. You drop some eucalyptus in there, just even 1 drop would be enough, and then kind of drape your head with a towel and just allow yourself to breathe in that steam. You can do the same thing by putting a drop of eucalyptus on a washcloth and lay that in the bottom of your shower. If you're stuffy, that hot air is going to hit it and just help it kind of vaporize up so you can inhale that steam and help open up your lungs or nasal passages if you're a little stuffy. So now we get into the safety considerations and the reason why I've got 3 different species of eucalyptus up here. So eucalyptus is really high in a compound called 1,8-cineol, or sometimes it's called eucalyptol. In really, really, really high concentrations, it can be problematic for children. And so maybe 5 years ago, there were a lot of safety reports going on saying, eucalyptus is unsafe, don't use it on your kids, keep it out of the house. And that was really because of a few isolated reports where somebody used far more eucalyptus than what we would normally use in home aromatherapy. And it was causing issues for children with either seizures or breathing problems. We don't want that to happen. Those are serious side effects. But when you're using eucalyptus in like 2 to 3 drops in a diffuser or a 1% to 5% dilution, depending on the age, rubbed onto the chest or something of that nature that we would be using at home, there's not those types, you're not going to have those types of reactions. But to just give you a little extra safety net, it might be best, and this is what I do, is to avoid using it with children under 2, just to give you that little extra safety net. After that, between the ages of 2 to 10, if you use Eucalyptus radiata or Eucalyptus smithy, 2 different types there, they're lower in eucalyptol. And so that just gives that little extra buffer safety net there. Anytime, or once you go over the age of 10 up to adult, you can use whichever you prefer. Since I have young children in my house, I keep Eucalyptus radiata. And that's just what we all use, and it works just fine. Let's see. Well, let me go back. Sorry, here we go. All right, substitutes for that. If you decide you hate the smell of eucalyptus, or you've heard those scary reports about it not being safe and you just don't want to go anywhere near it, that's okay. You can use conifer oils, and they will also help with a lot of the same uses. Black spruce, Douglas fir, and Scots pine are really popular. I don't like the smell of Scots pine. That's one that I don't know, smells like pine sol. I don't like it. Black spruce and Douglas fir, I like those a lot better. So little personal preference there from me. I'm going to grab another drink of water.
And I have just added the link for the download for everybody. And just because Mary had to head off here soon. And there you go. Hop back in whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm good now. All right, so now we're on to our final 2. Peppermint is next on my list. A friend of mine once described peppermint oil as stout, and I thought that was a really good way to describe it. It's powerful, and a little bit goes a long way, but it's very, very useful. We normally think of peppermint for 2 main reasons. The first one is kind of aches and pains, and the other one is nausea, digestive upset. So like eucalyptus, it's what we call rubefacient. When you apply it topically, it helps bring new blood flow to that area. So muscle and joint aches and headaches, really, really helpful for, again, always diluted. A friend once told me that his wife put some undiluted peppermint oil across his head when he had a headache. And he had a red streak there for a really long time, and he wouldn't let her come near him with essential oils like ever after that. And I don't blame him. So don't do that. We always want to dilute, and especially so with powerful oils like peppermint. It's another great one for respiratory support. So sometimes you'll see peppermint and eucalyptus paired together for like a roll-on or a vapor rub. And so that's really nice. So that one is not kid safe. We'll get to that in a bit. Digestive support, just inhaling it to help quell any kind of nausea or digestive upset that you have. It's another also very energizing essential oil. When you smell that, man, it just is like a lift for you. So if you kind of hit the afternoon slump and you know that another cup of coffee wouldn't be in your best interest, sometimes just inhaling some peppermint, take 5 deep breaths. That might be enough just to wake you up and get you over that hump. And finally, fever support can also be helpful, just diluted, applied to the forehead, back of the neck, and just to kind of help regulate a fever if somebody's really uncomfortable. You can, again, dilute it topically at mild dilutions. Diffusion, I recommend, again, just using maybe 1 drop in a blend that you have going at intermittent. I personally find that if peppermint is going in a diffuser for more than 30 minutes, it's going to start to trigger a headache in me. I don't like it. And I otherwise love mint. I mean, I just could drink the tea all day. I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. I love it. But too much diffused will trigger a headache in me. So that's something to be mindful of. Cleaning sprays works really well in, and steam inhalation, like I mentioned with the eucalyptus, just a little bit, 1 drop, is plenty for an adult. Oops, there, did it again. And a substitution for this for kids, a better one is spearmint. The reason is peppermint is really high in menthol. That's what makes it do its magic. But menthol at a high concentration can actually make young children, it can start to constrict their airways. So instead of feeling like, oh, this is helping me breathe, their throat will feel tight. That's a scary thing we don't want our kids to feel. Here's another ignorant Kristen story when I didn't know what I was doing. I forgot to tell Renee about this one. I had heard, oh, peppermint's great for calming an upset stomach. I was nauseous one night. I put a drop of peppermint essential oil in a glass of water because I heard that was the thing to do. And I drank it and I felt my throat feel tight. And it was a very uncomfortable sensation. And so we don't want our kids to feel that. Spearmint is a much better fit for them. It's a lot lower in the menthol, a little bit gentler for them. And our final one that maybe I forgot to add my little bullet point action. So you get to see everything for this one is tea tree, Melaleuca alternifolia. And that's a picture of it. Most people don't know what tea tree looks like. So that is actually a picture of what the tea tree plant looks like. Tea tree is a special essential oil because it's uniquely antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. So it is a broad spectrum antimicrobial, which makes it really unique among plant species. So this is the one that you probably are wanting to turn to for disinfecting, for cleaning any kind of rash or cut or scrape, pimples, bug bites, tinea infections. So that would be like athlete's foot or jock itch or other kind of thrush type of fungal infections on the skin. Dandruff, it's helpful for, and then just stimulating the immune system. So really, really great for any kind of microbial overgrowth. To apply that, you're going to usually be diluting it topically and cleaning sprays, and then you can use it in a diffuser. If by chance you've never smelled it before, it has a very medicinal aroma, so it's not really pleasant on its own. But when you blend it with other things that smell a bit nicer, then it can work really well diffused. But tea tree is the essential oil I was mentioning earlier that there's so much more of it sold per year than is actually produced. So what that means is there's a lot of cheap tea tree oil that's being sold that is actually just tea tree oil chemicals and compounds mixed together and kind of reconstituted, and it's not the real essential oil. So if you're seeing it at, big box stores or drugstore chains, you might just be a little more suspicious of it because it may not be real tea tree oil. So that's one that I definitely caution people to check the quality on. If you hate the smell of tea tree, and it doesn't smell great, but that's not why we're using it. Lavender is a good substitute for babies for skin conditions. I tend to go for that over tea tree unless it's in a really mild dilution. Or again, sensitive skin, maybe tea tree isn't going to play quite as nicely, but it has a very big safety profile. A certain chemotype of thyme. So chemotypes are plants that look identical. They're the same species, but their chemical profiles are different depending on their growing conditions. And so certain herbs will give different chemotypes, and thyme and rosemary are big examples of that. So certain kinds of thyme essential oil are really hot and can be irritating to the skin, but thyme chemotype linalool is very gentle. It's actually a lot more like lavender, but that can be another addition. Sometimes if I'm making like an eczema formula for someone, I'll use that chemotype of thyme. So if you hate tea tree, you can't stand to be around it, then that's an option for you as a little substitute. So that is the end of my presentation. So we can open it up now for questions. Let's see, I stopped sharing my screen, except my mouse isn't behaving. Oh, there we go.
That was great. Thank you, Kristen. I'll let people have a minute to post questions. And I just wanted to also reference that what Kristen is amazing with is because it's so, as you're listening, you're thinking, oh my goodness, that's like information overload. And so I was asking Kristen, like, this is the Robert Tisserand book that it's like $100 book. It gets super deep into understanding everything. But it's too much. I mean, even for me, it's like, okay, I'll use it as a reference if we're coming up with a blend, but it's so much information. So Kristen has all kinds of different resources on her website that she's already gone through that. So it's kind of like you're going to someone who has done the education. She's got the certifications. She can make sense of books like that and then give you the information that you want to know based on where you're at and how much you have. So as far as like your knowledge that where you're at now and how much you want to learn. So Kristen, I'm going to put some links in the chat, but I know you have a community, and there's a guide called The 3 Things You Can Get at the Store Tomorrow to get a jump start with natural health. So that's nice to know. Like you can start right away.
Yeah, just at the grocery store.
Yep. And in that, Carrie, you jumped ahead. Okay, good. Which one is that, Carrie? The one that I just read off. The join.
That one I am putting in. Right. I know. Right. The one that says join is the one that comes with a bonus guide for the 3 things that you were talking about.
And I was poking around your website yesterday, and I think I went to where you can shop and find those digital resources. So you can go learn from Kristen's. If you go to the shop link, you can go and find out different things to learn there. And someone asked earlier about if the download has everything you just explained. No, it might be 25 pages, but it's a nice summary. And we will have the show notes, which will tell you, those of you who are watching, where at what minute in this session Kristen was talking about tea tree, for example. So if you are here now, but you want to go back and kind of refresh something, you can just go quickly look at those show notes and then go right to the video at that minute and listen again. So it's a lot of information. So I encourage you to get on Kristen's list so that she can give you more information. Are there any questions? We have about 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. If people have questions, Carrie, you were answering somebody. Oh, here, let me go with Josie's first, and then Carrie, you can explain the one earlier. Josie says, I have 2 cats. Do you have any suggestions? Oh, that's a whole, the do's and don'ts with diffusing with cats.
A whole nother webinar. Can we do a pet webinar one?
So animal aromatherapy, like human aromatherapy, is actually a pretty young field within the natural health realm. And so animal aromatherapy is even younger, which basically means there's not a lot of really good solid information on what's really safe and what isn't. Cats have, there's a bigger safety risks there for cats. So the main thing is, if you're going to be diffusing around them, you just want to make it very easy for them to get away from the scent, because if it's bothering them, they will instinctively know, I need to get away from that. So I would never diffuse in a closed room. Like, let's say you have your cats in your bedroom with you, I would not diffuse then. If your cats are in like my living room, kitchen, office areas, one big open area, if I had cats in the house, which I don't, but if they were hanging out here with me, I wouldn't run the diffuser. I would save that for rooms that I don't let the cats in, simply because there wouldn't be a way for them to get away from the smell. And so we want to be really mindful of that, because they can't use their words. They don't have any. We want to make it easy for them to get away from it and then kind of watch how they respond. So that's a really short answer for a big topic.
So funny thing, Kristen. So what my husband does when he goes to sleep at night is he uses a CPAP and he puts like a breathe blend on the filter of his CPAP. And because it just helps to open up his airways. Now, you would think that the cats would tear out of the bedroom with all of those types of oils. No, comes right up, lays right on him, and the oil is just.
And the cat doesn't mind it.
Cat doesn't mind.
That's amazing.
Nope. I know.
You would think it'd be opposite, but we let our little furry friends decide.
There you go. I think the key was letting them be able to escape from it if it's bothering them.
That's the main important thing.
And Mary had a question about, she juices lemons. And Carrie, you want to explain that question? Mary actually had to leave, so hopefully she'll come back and watch the replay for more.
Yeah, so she was just asking about what she could do with her lemon peels and how, could she save them in a mason jar and how could she do that? And I was suggesting that she just pop them in a mason jar and cover them with white vinegar and just let them sit for a few weeks and then strain it off. And
that's a great option.
Cleaning.
If they're organic lemons, also you can let the peels sit out and then add them to herbal teas if you like herbal teas. because it's the peel on the lemon that we like a lot in herbalism. You can add lemon peels. This is getting into herby things, but like fire cider, if you use that for immune stimulation, lemon peels are a great addition to that. So yeah, if they're organic lemon peels, those are gold. I wouldn't let those go to waste.
Yep. And I think that's the big key there, is that they really need to be organic, because the amount of pesticides that they use on citrus is huge.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And a lot of people react to it too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Renee, what else for us?
This is great. I think we got all the links in, and yeah, that was very complete, Kristen. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad it was helpful.
Yeah, I was definitely like, whoa, okay, this is good to know. So that's, yeah, super complete.
Awesome.
If anybody has like, you've got minus 30 seconds. So
We're overboard.
So anyway,
everybody's quiet today.
I know. They have their lavender diffusing in the background. So thank you, everyone. If you have questions afterwards, what do you have, Kristen?
Say, this is my Be Cool. This is my made on thing I keep on my desk for when I'm working at the computer and my shoulders get stiff.
Okay.
Back pain. I know it. I know what you're talking about.
I like to keep my little Be Cool balm right there.
All right. All right. Well,
That's
thank
great.
you, everyone. And again, I will send out the link in a future email once it's all ready. And please get a hold of Kristen if you have more questions. And as you're building your essential oil apothecary, Kristen could be there to help. So you make sure that you're doing things safely. And yeah, Kristen, I'm sure we'll have other topics related to, herbs or essential oils to have you back. So
yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, everyone can look forward to meeting Kristen again in the future. And if you have suggested topics for Kristen or others that you would like us to go search out, then feel free to email us. And yeah, so everybody have a wonderful day. And thanks again for coming, even though it was earlier in the day. So email us if you prefer this time of day. We're not making promises. All right. Thank you.
Kristen, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.